I'm Eric Russell. I am out and about with the Cadence Theater Companies production of Next to Normal.
Hey.
Okay. I loved it. The energy, the visuals, you had me crying and laughing and crying again. And
baby.
I am. But I want to start with who you all are and how you're involved in the show. And I want to start here, work across the front, then up the stairs.
I'm Duke Lafoon. I play Dan, the husband and father.
And I am Chase Kniffen, and I am the director.
Christie Jackson, I play Natalie, Diana's daughter.
I'm John Mincks, I play Henry, Natalie's boyfriend.
I am Andrea Rivette, I play their mother and his wife.
Not mine, you're really
No, there.
Oh, and I'm Russell Rowland. I play Dr. Madden, who is Diana's therapist.
I am Grant Oliver. I'm playing guitar.
Bentley Goff. Oh,
Finally got
edit. Bentley. Stop it. Alright, I'm sorry.
He beats the drums.
Hi, I'm Bentley, I play drums.
I didn't know that was a character.
I'm Terence, I play Gabe.
Kim Fox, musical director.
Michael Knowles, I play the cello.
So I want to start with Chase here. What brought you to this show? What made you want to do Next to Normal to do this fantastic show?
Sure, absolutely. I saw Next to Normal at Arena Stage probably, 6 years ago is when it was at Arena. And it was something that I kind of watched and thought that it was really kind of the next great American musical. It tackles an extremely difficult but such prevalent subject in a loving, caring, genuine, and entertaining way. And Anna, the artistic director of Cadence, came to me with the project, and it just felt like the perfect time. And then all the people who I wanted to do it were available at the time. So it's been a joy.
Because you grab us from the very moment you start. Not just because I've seen a lot of you on other productions, but your whole group, you're just like, bam. You're pulled into this whole show with the visuals and the songs, and just absolutely hold me right there the entire time. From the music, as the music director, what's the cast's favorite song?
What is the cast?
You better be right, Kim. Choose wisely.
For me, I don't know, I like Lights.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's a very hopeful song, and we get to rock out a little bit.
All of us get to sing that one.
And it's one of the few songs that the entire cast sings together.
It's going to be good, anybody?
Oh yeah.
Good.
I picked out my faves.
What's your favorite?
Okay, my first favorite is Superboy and Invisible Girl. It could just be for the whole different reason, but
Point for Christie.
The fact that you've got these two you've got the very mythological Superboy from DC. He's this perpetual hero. But then for Marvel, you have the everyday girl, the invisible girl, who she's running away and she's the damsel in distress. So that's my take on it. But then it seems to apply to Gabe and Natalie.
We'll take it.
I like it.
That's my take. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Which is my psychopharmacologist.
Okay.
That's good.
That's a fun one.
It's just a fun one, and going, we know that drug, we know that drug.
We don't know those drugs at all. What are you
Any
talking
song
about?
about drugs is fun, as far as I'm concerned.
Any song with drugs is fun.
Yeah.
The relationship that this family has could be any family in any neighborhood across America. One of the questions I came up with is, why do they stay together? Why do you stay with Diane?
Because I love her very, very much. It's hard. It's hard to watch somebody who's sick, and he says it during the show. I said for better, for worse, and he means it. And so it's hard, and it's hard that it lasts over such a long time. You watch as she drifts from him over years. But yeah, that's what you do when you love somebody. You stick with them.
Because Diane ultimately makes the decision at one point, I want to leave.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
We think. But then,
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Sorry, spoilers! But the relationship is there because I had this feeling that a lot of the decisions had been made by her husband based upon the incident, because I don't think they're all her decisions. Let's go back to the doctor. Let's try another round of treatment. Let's go to Dr. Rockstar.
He's always trying to find the answer to fix it. So, yeah. And she stays because he helps her, and I don't think she's thinking clearly about what the relationship even is, because it changes, I think, every time, whether she's on the meds or not on the meds, or the ECT, or, whatever it is. I think the relationship between them changes. It may not show it in every scene, but in my mind, they go through the, journey of change.
When we talk about Natalie being the invisible girl, do you feel, your character feel that she's truly invisible to her entire family, or just to her mom, or how does she really fit into that?
I think it very much has to do with the whole family. I think Dan tries more than Diana, perhaps, but because he's so preoccupied with Diana's sickness and trying to get her better, it's like he doesn't really have time to pay attention. And we kind of have had conversations about, maybe there's like a weekly check-in or something, like, hey, Natalie, you doing okay? Yeah, great, okay. And then, it just kind of disappears again. And I think that's why she is so, into her studies and school and all that. Like, thank you, Chase.
It seems like he does the check-in thing. He says, my day is, I'm living on a latte and a prayer. So he's like, I don't know what my wife said. Oh, there's the daughter. Okay, great. And I'm out the door.
Well, Natalie appears, Dan, to be very self-sufficient. She's very bright, and she goes about her day, and she does a lot of things. And so he tricks himself into thinking, oh, she's fine, and pat on the head.
And I think that's kind of what she wants.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. She wants to do well and kind of, almost lay low so that she can get out of there without any problems. Like, I'm fine, I'm good, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna leave school early and
Just stay under the radar and just not be.
And only Henry really knows what's going on inside.
Yeah.
She doesn't have an opportunity, an audience, through her music and lines, her book. We don't ever have that conversation. But we get it in the second act. She's not happy, with us. I don't know who she is. So.
And Henry seems to be that person, that interesting mix, because Natalie's very, here's my schedule, I have to do this, and he's kind of like, so the other side of that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then he becomes kind of the regimented person going, this is the 5th night I've had to pick you up off the street. There's this kind of shift in their dynamic.
Yeah.
Talk about that relationship between you and Natalie.
Well, it's really interesting. Chrissy and I have talked about this many times before, where it's Henry is there to help Natalie's character grow, and he's kind of what makes her dynamic in a way. And what do you think?
No, I agree with you, and we have also had this conversation, which I think is, Henry changes Natalie's worldview, really, when it comes down to it. She starts one way and she ends another, and it's very much because of Henry, because he's the only one who pays attention enough and knows her well enough to pull that out of her.
And he's the only one that ever tries to get her to do anything different than what she's used to. Because she is so used to the rigid structure. He's the only one who's ever said, why not try something else? So.
And he doesn't melt out those moments when things go completely off skew. At
No.
dinners and stuff, he's like, thank you for a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that really speaks to Henry.
I think one of the coolest things is that Natalie, in the end, is kind of the one who takes it and says, we're going to be okay. That's, this kind of character has started out with this such negative point of view of the world, is able to have her entire kind of perspective changed, and then she's the one that says, Dad, it's going to be okay. And I love that.
Which then brings me to Gabe. And I asked the same question in my head when I saw the show before, and I kept going, who or what is Gabe? Is he a shared delusion? Is he actually haunting the family?
Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Just.
No, you're good.
But who are you, Gabe? Terence, who is Gabe?
For me, I can't really treat him as a ghost because I don't think it represents what he is. I think it's more of a metaphor and more of a representation of her illness. But from my perspective, I represent that place of safety and hope in loss and grieving and sickness. And I represent that place where you want to keep something and you want something really precious. And so he comes from a place of needing love and protection and wants comfort, just like all the other characters.
When you do the song "I'm Alive,"
Yes.
you're singing that. Is it reinforcing that Gabe's saying, "I'm a real person," or who is that song for?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it starts for Diana, and it really does sort of vacillate through the entire cast because he wants them to know he's there. He's not seen, and so it's his arms outstretched, love me moment through Act 1, and then Act 2, it's very much I am here. I'm being seen now. People are starting to see me. Things are crumbling because you've been avoiding me. If that. Okay. Nope. Wait, do you want to take this? That's wrong. It's completely wrong. I see it.
A friend, no, you're supposed to be.
You're supposed to be.
I'm the Grim Reaper.
What do you want people to take away with this show after they've seen it? What's one thing you want them to hold on to?
I want them to know how to build an apple ball. That's mine.
It's a skill.
Christie?
I don't know how.
What do you want people to walk away with your character Diane? What do you want the audience to come away with about
Of course,
her?
I get the hard question.
They're all getting it too. So.
Well, we get to hear hers first.
Yeah, that's
My
See how she
version.
handles it.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, there's first of all, I think since the show came out, I'm not going to give the show complete credit, but I do think that there are more open people about talking about it because it is such a prevalent issue, not just bipolar mental illness, but depression and other mental illnesses or things that doctors are trying to treat, and they treat you like a guinea pig and like, try this cocktail of drugs, try this cocktail of drugs, try this cocktail. It didn't work either. Okay, well, tell me when you feel nothing, and then we'll know we got it. You know, and I just think that I think that there's a theme in the show that everyone in the audience will be able to relate to. You know, and I would like them to go knowing that they're not alone, and that there's a musical written about it, for goodness sake. So other people are going through this, and how, this is just how one family is coping with it. I don't know, I would like to think it would give them hope that they can, get through the hard times too, and deal with these situations, and, maybe setting some sort of example of, an option. I love the show, and when I first knew about it, a couple of years ago, I was here doing White Christmas, and I did a CD, and Miss the Mountains was on it, and I gave it to Chase, and he called me and said, we're going to do this show. And so for 2 years, I've been bugging him, like,
Do the show.
when you do this show, people ask him, like, so why next to normal? And I always want to say, because I was going to kill him.
Yeah.
As the husband,
Yes.
what do you want people to come away with from the husband's perspective from this?
I mean, in terms of the show, I think Andrew's spot on. I'd love for people to be more familiar with and sympathetic of folks that are dealing with this. But I don't think you necessarily have to have these problems in your family. I think anybody who sees the show will recognize themselves in this family in some sort of way. And to Dan, it's about just loving and watching someone leave him and watching that loss and dealing with that. And so, it's one of my least favorite things in the world is saying goodbye to someone, and Dan has to do it over a long period of time. And it's a hard, painful thing to watch. And so, that's what I'd like for people to see. That's it. That's all I got.
There's an essay question right there. As the director.
Sure. The thing that is most interesting about this, to me, is that it kind of tells the story that the world is going to throw a lot of curveballs. There's going to be shitty times. It's going to be hard. But at some point, there is some level of hope and light at the end. And I think that's kind of, there's a lot of question marks that Next Normal leaves. And then the final kind of song, which I look at as kind of this epilogue to the thing, is kind of comments on where they stand. You don't really know what happens to Dan or Natalie or Diana or anybody. And I think that, but knowing that it might be okay is really cool, because life is hard.
For each of them, even if they don't all get back together, I think there's hope at the end that each of them is going to be okay.
They're going to find their own.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely loved it. You guys have a fantastic show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I've always said, you don't have to go to New York to get the Broadway quality shows, because we have it here in Richmond. I mean, the production, the vocals, the whole thing is just...
That band.
The band. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The band.
The live band is like nothing else.
Thank you.
It really makes for a great, wonderful experience. I'm glad we had that here.
So it's very kind. Thank you.
Thank you,
Guys, thank you for having me here tonight.
That was so fun.
For more information, for tickets about this great production or their upcoming season, you can go to www.va-rep.org or www.cadencetheater.org. I'm Eric Russell, and I've been out and about with the Cadence Theater Companies production of Next to Normal.